In this video, we will explore the 25 different healings of Jesus in the Bible. We will talk about their narratives, nature of their healing and significance in the 21st century. 1. Healing of the official's son, John 4:46-54. Jesus healed the official's son who was near death. This miracle demonstrated Jesus' power to heal even from a distance. It shows that Jesus can bring healing and restoration to any situation, regardless of physical proximity. 2. Healing of the paralytic, Mark 2:1-12. Jesus healed a paralyzed man by forgiving his sins and commanding him to walk. This miracle showcased Jesus' authority to forgive sins and perform physical healing. It reveals that Jesus is not only concerned with physical healing but also with spiritual healing, emphasizing the importance of forgiveness and reconciliation. 3. Healing of the blind man at Bethsaida, Mark 8:22-26. Jesus restored sight to a blind man in 2 stages, indicating the progressive nature of spiritual understanding. It teaches us that spiritual enlightenment often happens gradually, and Jesus can open our eyes to deeper truths over time. 4. Healing of the woman with the issue of blood, Mark 5:25-34. A woman with a chronic bleeding condition touched Jesus' garment and was instantly healed. This miracle highlighted the power of faith and the compassion of Jesus. It encourages us to have faith in Jesus' ability to bring healing and restoration to our lives, even when circumstances seem hopeless. 5. Healing of the Centurion's servant, Matthew 8:5-13. Jesus healed a servant of a Roman centurion without physically being present, demonstrating the centurion's faith and Jesus' authority over sickness. It reminds us that Jesus' healing power transcends cultural and religious barriers, and faith in him can bring healing to anyone, regardless of their background. 6. Healing of the man with the withered hand, Matthew 12:9-14. Jesus healed a man with a withered hand on the Sabbath, challenging the religious legalism of the Pharisees. It teaches us that Jesus prioritizes compassion and healing over legalistic religious rules, emphasizing the importance of grace and mercy. 7. Healing of the Galilean demoniac, Mark 5:1-20. Jesus cast out a legion of demons from a man who lived among tombs, restoring his sanity and transforming his life. It demonstrates that Jesus has power over spiritual oppression and can bring deliverance and restoration to those who are bound by darkness. 8. Healing of the leper, Mark 1:40-45. Jesus cleansed a leper by touching him, signifying his willingness to reach out to the marginalized and restore them to society. It reminds us of Jesus' compassion for the outcasts of society and challenges us to extend love and acceptance to those who are marginalized in our own time. 9. Healing of the 10 lepers, Luke 17:11-19. Jesus healed 10 lepers, but only one returned to express gratitude. This miracle emphasized the importance of gratitude and faith in receiving God's healing. It calls us to cultivate an attitude of gratitude and recognize God's work in our lives, especially when we experience healing and restoration. 10. Healing of the man born blind, John 9 1-7. Jesus gave sight to a man born blind, demonstrating his power to bring spiritual and physical illumination to those in darkness. It symbolizes Jesus' ability to transform lives and bring understanding to those who have been spiritually blinded by ignorance or sin. 11. Healing of the woman with a spirit of infirmity, Luke 13:10-17. Jesus healed a woman who had been bent over for 18 years, releasing her from her physical and spiritual bondage. It teaches us that Jesus desires to free us from the burdens that weigh us down physically, emotionally, and spiritually, bringing liberation and wholeness. 12. Healing of the man with dropsy, Luke 14:1-6. Jesus healed a man with dropsy on the Sabbath, challenging the religious leaders' legalistic approach to observing the Sabbath. It reminds us that Jesus values compassion and healing above religious traditions, encouraging us to prioritize love and mercy in our interactions with others. 13. Healing of the 10 blind men, Matthew 20:29-34. Jesus restored sight to 2 blind men who cried out for mercy, illustrating the importance of persistent faith and the willingness of Jesus to respond to our needs. It encourages us to persevere in faith and seek Jesus' mercy and healing, knowing that He hears our cries and desires to bring restoration. 14. Healing of the demon-possessed boy, Mark 9:14-29. Jesus cast out a demon from a boy after his disciples were unable to do so, emphasizing the necessity of faith and prayer in spiritual warfare. T teaches us that spiritual battles require reliance on Jesus and the power of prayer, reminding us of the importance of seeking His intervention in challenging situations. 15. Healing of the man with the unclean spirit, Mark 1:21-28. Jesus delivered a man in the synagogue from an unclean spirit, demonstrating His authority over evil forces. It affirms Jesus' power to overcome spiritual darkness and provides assurance that we can find freedom from spiritual oppression through Him. 16. Healing of the deaf and mute man, Mark 7:31-37. Jesus restored hearing and speech to a man who was deaf and mute, displaying His ability to bring healing and restoration to all aspects of a person's life. It reminds us that Jesus cares about our complete well-being, encompassing physical, emotional, and relational healing. 17. Healing of the blind Bartimaeus, Mark 10:46-52. Jesus restored sight to Bartimaeus, a blind beggar who cried out to Him in faith, highlighting the importance of persistent faith and Jesus' willingness to respond to our needs. It encourages us to approach Jesus with confidence and persist in our faith, knowing that He is ready to bring sight to our spiritual blindness and provide for our needs. 18. Healing of the Seraphenician woman's daughter, Mark 7:24-30. Jesus healed the daughter of a Gentile woman who pleaded for His help, demonstrating His compassion and willingness to extend His ministry beyond the Jewish community. It signifies Jesus' inclusive love and His desire to bring healing and restoration to people from all backgrounds, races, and cultures. 19. Healing of the man with the legion of demons, Mark 5:1-20. Jesus cast out a legion of demons from a man who lived among tombs, symbolizing his power to bring deliverance and restore sanity to those who are bound by demonic oppression. It assures us that Jesus has authority over the forces of darkness and can bring freedom from spiritual bondage, offering hope to those struggling with inner turmoil and addiction. 20. Healing of the woman with a bent back, Luke 13:10-17. Jesus healed a woman who had been bent over for 18 years, illustrating his desire to bring physical and spiritual liberation to those burdened by illness and suffering. It emphasizes Jesus' compassion for the physically and spiritually afflicted, inviting us to seek his healing touch and trust in his transformative power. 21. Healing of Malchus' ear, Luke 22:49-51. Jesus miraculously restored the ear of a servant named Malchus that was severed during his arrest in the Garden of Gethsemane, demonstrating his compassion and ability to heal even in the midst of conflict. It teaches us that Jesus calls us to be agents of healing and reconciliation, even in difficult circumstances, and empowers us to extend his love to others. 22. Healing of the Noblemans Son, John 4:46-54. Jesus healed the son of a nobleman who had pleaded for his healing, illustrating the power of faith and Jesus' ability to bring healing even at a distance. It encourages us to trust in Jesus' power to bring healing and restoration to our lives and the lives of our loved ones, even when it seems impossible. 23. Healing of the man with a lame hand, Matthew 12:9-14. Jesus restored a man's withered hand on the Sabbath, challenging the religious legalism of the Pharisees and highlighting his authority to bring healing and wholeness. It reminds us that Jesus values mercy and compassion above rigid religious observances, calling us to prioritize love and care for others in our interactions. 24. Healing of the man with dropsy on the Sabbath, Luke 14:1-6. Jesus healed a man with dropsy on the Sabbath, rebuking the Pharisees' legalistic approach to the Sabbath and illustrating his concern for the well-being of individuals. It teaches us that Jesus' healing and restoration extend beyond religious rules and regulations, inviting us to focus on loving and caring for others above strict adherence to external practices. 25. Healing of the high priest's servant's ear, Luke 22:49-51. Jesus healed the severed ear of the high priest's servant, demonstrating his compassion and power to restore even in the face of opposition and violence. It reminds us that Jesus calls us to be agents of peace and healing in a world marked by conflict and division, encouraging us to emulate his example of love and restoration. Overall, the healings of Jesus in the Bible signify his divine power, compassion, and authority. They demonstrate his ability to bring physical, emotional, and spiritual healing, and they highlight his concern for the marginalized, the outcasts, and those in need. In the 21st century, these healings continue to hold meaning and significance. They remind us of Jesus' presence and availability to bring healing and restoration to every aspect of our lives. They encourage us to have faith, to seek his intervention in our challenges, and to trust in his transformative power. They also call us to embody Jesus' compassion and love, reaching out to the broken, marginalized, and oppressed, and participating in the work of healing and reconciliation in our world today. Like, share and subscribe for daily content.